So this is looking at constructing isometric shapes by building up different parts together. So you've got a front view and a side view of an object, and it says here the orthographic views of a marker post for the start line of sprint races are shown below. The marker post is made from expanded polystyrene. So you can see here you've got a shape. It's essentially got three shapes joined together, or even you could say four. So you've got a base, which is quite straightforward. You've got a shape above it, and the top shape is almost made out of two shapes. You've got the rectangular base and you've got a half octagon. So you're going to have to construct that. So looking at here, it says the space to the right, draw the isometric view of the marker post on a scale of 1 to 5. So straight away it's adjusting these measurements. So you've got the half octagon, which is 400 across faces, so that's going to be 80. So you already know that this is 40, 40, and you've got the centre line, which goes up, so you're going to be 40, 40. You've got this distance here, which is actually the top of that middle shape. So you can see that's 100, so that becomes, divided by 5 becomes 20. You've got the thickness is 200, so that becomes 40. You've got this inside section, which is 150, so that becomes 30. So you know there's a distance here, which is going to be 5 on either side, because it's the difference between the outside, which is 40, and the inside, which is 30. You've got 200 here, which becomes 40. You've got 400 here, which becomes 80. You've got 200, which becomes 40, and you know that this is another 40 to the top. So it's quite a tall shape. So your starting point is going to be quite low down. Starting with your vertical, you know the height up is going to be 40, so that's your starting point, 40 to here. So drawing the base. You know the distance across the front is the same. So you've got you can see that this is in line. So you know that this is 80. And you know the thickness is 40. And it's a good idea when you're stacking shapes up to draw it completely so you understand what you're looking at. And just extending the lines. I'm drawing the full base on. So this is the base. You've then got to fit this shape on top, but there is a gap on either side, so it's going to be slightly smaller. And we know from here that it's 5 on either side. But it reaches right to the end. There's two ways to construct upwards. You could either do crating, so extrude the whole lot up, or use your centre line. So using your centre line to the top point here and measuring it. So I'm going to use crating, so I'm going to go up from each point, so you know the distance here is 80. So starting from here, I'll show both methods, but the crating, so starting from here, flip this round, I'm going to measure 80. Make sure that's on the corner. So using crating and constructing a box for the whole shape. This comes up from here, and this is the base of that. So here you've got your front shape here, so now you know the centre so this is 80, so then half of that is 40. And you know from here that this is 20, so it's going to be 10 either side of the centre line. And you know that this will create the front of your shape. To do the thickness, if you've used your crating, you can just do the back two edges. So this goes straight back, but and then joining this here. If you wanted to do just the centre line, you could draw this line, measure up, and then extend back and to that corner without doing the crating. The top part is quite complex in that you've got two parts to the top. So you're going to have to sit on top. You've got the rectangle, and then you've got a half octagon. So the easy part is to draw this whole shape in first as a square, and then work out how you're going to do what measurements are on these sides. So you know from this drawing that this is the same size as the base, so you know it's going to be slightly wider. So you think of this as a flat surface. This is where crating does help in constructing the top. So you're just extending out these two corners. And you know this is going to be in line with the base, so it's to that point there. And you know it's to that point there. And the same on the other side. You can either measure it or just use your base. It's just extending that out slightly to create the base for your top shape. So now you have the base of the shape. You can draw it up. You know that the bottom section here is 40. It's 40 by 40. So using this front corner here, you can extend up. Not quite long enough. It's going to be 40. So this is your bottom rectangle. You need to mark in your centre and then extend up. So 40 and extend up. And you can actually draw the whole rectangle in. The top section, because you know the top section is 40 by 80, it's just extending this up. So extending this up 40. And you've got the front rectangle. For your shape. To draw an octagon, there's no way of knowing what measurements are to take off, what the measurements are to take off these angles. So you need to construct a quick octagon, which is 80 by 80. So you can do that on the side of the page. So just measuring this 80 by 80, and just a conventional octagon. So this is 80. And dividing this. So measuring 40 and dividing this, using the compass method for quick construction of an octagon. So we can check the measurements. Constructing an octagon using a compass, set it to the corner, put your pencil in the centre, and do this in all four corners. Making sure it doesn't move. We only need the top half. So you can see here your octagon would be going around your shape. This is your shape that you need. So we only need the top half. So working out these measurements from the centre, you can then transfer them onto here. So this measurement here is 16, and the same here. So from the centre line there, measuring 16, you can mark it on both sides. So you've got one side here, one side here. And from your centre line, measuring 16 either side. And then you know that that is the angle for your corner. on both sides. And from there, it will just project back to the back of the shape. And the same here. To take off that corner. So you can see quite a complex shape, because some parts you will see in the final shape and some parts you won't. But you have to build it up in stages from the base to get your full shape, and taking into account the different thicknesses and the shapes involved. I'm just going over darker so you can see the full shape, because you don't see all the parts, but you have to draw them to make sense and to construct the shape.